Girl, you know you need to call me. All right, I love you. Bye.
Hey family, welcome to Call Me When You Make It. I'm Jayla.
And I'm Tamala. And we are the mother-daughter duo that you never knew you needed.
Yes, welcome to episode 9. Yay. Thank you so much for tuning in, first of all.
Yes.
I am really excited to get into today's episode because this is something that I think isn't really discussed a lot, especially in today's day and age, and I think it should be.
For sure.
And it's kind of going to go into like our parenting styles episode a little bit. We're going to delve into a few different things, but today we are getting into the importance of etiquette and manners. We are really going to just discuss how money cannot buy you class. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, this is something we really need to talk about. Like, from etiquette and manners to your reputation, like, it's just something that I feel like it's not really discussed a lot, and I think it should be. So, first, we're going to take it back like we always do generally at the beginning of our episodes and kind of get into our upbringings a little bit. So, when you think about you growing up and your upbringing, who do you feel like really instilled etiquette and manners in you? Like, do you remember that in your childhood?
Absolutely, for sure. And without a doubt, I would say my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. My grandmother was one of the classiest ladies that I've ever known.
Truly.
Yes.
And she was a seamstress too. Like, she was just so...
She was a seamstress,
yeah.
And she was a very classy lady.
Very.
Yes.
Very.
She was all about it. And, yeah, she was just very, very much into manners, etiquette, and being a lady.
Mm-hmm.
And she instilled that in me.
Yeah.
And you were around long enough, what a blessing, to have known her and seen that, all of that.
Yeah.
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 That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do remember just how she was, like how she carried herself. And I think that's one of the things that really sticks out to me about her. Is like, I just remember her presence and just how she carried herself.
Yes.
Because I feel like that's something that before you even open your mouth, when you walk into a room,
right.
The way that you carry yourself, the way you stand, the way you walk,
right.
Like, you don't even have to say 2 words. That's
Absolutely.
what speaks first.
Right.
And it could be either way. It could be,
very true.
A good thing or a bad thing.
Right.
But like the way that you carry yourself, it speaks before anything else.
Right.
And I just remember she always was very calm. Like, she always had a very calm, cool, collected. But she just had this air of like just class and just like she just like
elegance.
She reminded me of like the Diane Carols, the
yes.
Dorothy Dandridge,
yep.
like
yes.
that.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, she's why I like pearls.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's yeah, she just was so elegant.
She was just that, yeah.
Yes, she was beautiful,
yeah.
Inside and out. But she had a very calming spirit, and if you're around her, you want to calm down. Like,
mm-hmm.
if you're not,
mm-hmm.
you're just
mm-hmm.
like, oh,
yeah.
we need to calm down.
Yeah,
and just I don't even know how to put it into words. It's like you said, her presence.
Mm-hmm.
That was the thing. And one of her favorite phrases was, always have a nice disposition. Like, this was her thing. Like, work on, your disposition. If it's not a good one, like, you need to work on that.
Mm-hmm.
As a lady specifically, because that was a thing for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I also remember she has so many little. It's like along the way growing up, like I look back now and I think about it. Like, she would say little things, but I know now, like, what she was doing is like grooming me all the way, for my, until I was an adult.
Yeah.
But it's so funny, you think back and it's like, well, at the time it's like, why is she telling me this, But she would say to me, like, a star, nobody has to tell a star that it's a star. Mm-hmm. It shines without anybody telling it. It's already just shining. Mm-hmm. And things like that. And she also would tell me, like, you don't save anything for a good occasion. We don't save, remember all her crystal and things like that? She's like, we use good stuff every day. There's no such thing as this is the good stuff. These are the good plates. These are the good glasses. We use our nice things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't just
put that out.
Put stuff in a cupboard somewhere. Or,
yeah.
No, we use nice things because we always have nice things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, not waiting
She's
for,
like,
special
well, what
occasion.
are we waiting for? We may never use it, So every day is a nice day. Mm-hmm. Every day we celebrate every day. Mm-hmm. So,
I love that.
That's how she was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she definitely.
I remember that. Like I said, I just remember her presence and just that impact. And I think for me, when I think about etiquette and manners, it was just something that was ingrained in me from the very beginning. Like, I can't imagine, like, not being raised without those things that you guys instilled in me. Because it was it was my grandma, my other grandmas. Like, it was just how the women in my family were. So it's like, I don't know what.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're stomping on my foot? I'm just kidding. She's trying to take me out, y'all.
I'm over here beating her without you guys knowing. No, just kidding. No, it was my mom, too. I say my grandmother because that's where it started. But for sure, it was my mom, too. It was a group effort with my grandmother and my mom. Because, my mom, of course, she's, my mom, for sure, is very much into, keeping it classy and keeping things, about manners and things being a certain way. So for sure, and she got that from my grandmother. Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna say it. She did, because I don't know where else she would have gotten it from. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so both of them. It's a combination of the two. But I feel like it came from my grandmother.
Yeah,
for sure.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think this is such an interesting conversation in today's day and age, because I feel like there's so much discourse around, like, being classy versus not, and, like, what it means to be a lady, and, like, you should do this, you shouldn't do that, you should talk like this, you shouldn't do that. And I don't know if you've ever come across this on the internet, but I feel like, especially on, like, TikTok, for example, there's a lot of discourse about, like, this is what you should do to be a lady, and this is what you should do to be feminine, and I feel like there's nothing wrong with that content. And I do think that it's important to, like, get into that, because there is kind of a lost art of etiquette happening these days, I would say. Like, I don't feel like it's really talked about. I don't know if, like, parents these days are really instilling the importance of, like, etiquette and manners and, like, doing things a certain way. I feel like so much of life right now is such a free-for-all that it's like, I don't really know if that's, like, something that's being...
say they're probably not doing it enough.
Yeah.
That's my opinion from what I see.
And to me, maybe this is just how I was raised, but it's just like, to me, being classy, being a lady, having, etiquette knowledge, having manners, doing things a certain way, I do think is important. And I think it's, like, a lost art that shouldn't be lost. Like, I don't know. It's one of those things, too, where it's like, I'm like, do I want to bring this up in this episode or not? Because I feel like the conversation gets a little sticky, because you have one end of the conversation where it's like, you know, these are the things that you should do to be a lady, and, you know, this is how you should act, this is how you should talk, this is how you should, you know, move through life. And then you have like the other end of the spectrum where it's like, you shouldn't have to follow rules, and you should be able to do what you want, say what you want, dress how you want. And then it like opens up a conversation about like, you know, well, people shouldn't be policing women and what they do. And it's like, I'm not saying that, but I'm also just trying to drive home the point that like etiquette and manners and like being a lady is still important, I think. I hope that makes sense, because I'm trying to like say something without saying it, because I don't feel like having a bunch of discourse about it, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just trying to drive home the point that, like, in my opinion, I do feel like as a woman there is a certain way that we should like conduct ourselves, and certain etiquette that we should know.
It's not about being policed. Yeah. So I'll chime in.
Okay.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. So to add into what you're saying, it's not about policing what someone's doing or anything like that. To me, it's not. It's about always there, because here's the thing. I heard you say something like about rules. Life has rules. There's rules. There's rules on the road. There's rules everywhere you go. That's. I'm gonna get a little passionate here. I feel like this generation and the couple generations before that, millennials. What's your brother's generation?
Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Yeah, Gen Z. Gen
you
Z for
guys,
real.
Okay, I might get some flack here, but it's okay. Bring it on. You guys want to go through life with no rules. There's rules. Are you guys driving? Do you have a driver's license? There's rules. That's a privilege. There's rules in life. In life, you follow rules. So, I'm sorry. Welcome to the world. Wherever you go, there's going to be some rules. They're not your rules either. There's a set of rules wherever you go. Am I wrong?
That's true.
So, to be a lady, there's rules to that. And you should follow them, or you're not a lady. How about that? That's what I say.
And I think that's fair. And if you don't want to be a lady and you don't want to conform to those
rules, then don't get upset.
That's your prerogative.
How about this? Don't get upset when someone says you're not one, because you're not falling in line. You're acting like something else that's not one. I'm just saying that's just how I see it.
Yeah.
Because you either conducting yourself like a lady or you're not.
Yeah.
Now, you know, that's just it. It's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
But this whole, you know, I don't want to follow rules. Well, you know, okay, but life has rules. Mm-hmm. Just like I just said, when we go out and drive a car, you don't just drive all over the lines and do turns where you feel like it. I mean, there's rules to the road. There's things we don't want to do every day. There's rules everywhere we turn.
Yeah.
Life has rules. Welcome to being an adult. It has rules. Sorry.
And I guess it also just boils down to like, not every woman wants to be a lady or wants to be.
Well, then don't be one. You could be any. Hey, how about
whatever you want?
Listen, that's the thing about it. You don't have to be one, like she said. But for those of you who want to, I like being a lady. Then, you know, we're just talking about those of us that do. If you don't want to, then that's your prerogative, and we're not mad at you. Hey, girl, do your thing.
Right.
You know, but we're talking about being classy today. So
yeah,
being classy is a lady.
Yeah.
So that's the definition of being a lady.
And I feel like, to me, my definition of being a lady or being classy really starts from like a mindset. Right. Because I'm not even talking about this from like a socioeconomic standpoint, like financial standpoint, because it's not always all about that. I feel like it really does start with your mindset and the way you carry yourself, you know, manners, how you treat people, all of that goes into it. And for me personally, that is very important. I think that your reputation is important. I think the way you carry yourself is important. First impressions are very important. And so, yeah, for me, when I'm going somewhere, when I'm going out, stepping out, wherever I'm stepping out, if I'm meeting someone for the first time, like I'm very aware, like hyper aware of all of these things. And I do make it a point to conduct myself like a lady. I want people to look at me and be like, you know, she is so well mannered, she's well spoken, she's classy. She like that's what I want for me.
And that's why what you have done.
Thank you. And that's
I'm proud of that.
Thank you. And that's what you taught me. That's what all the women in my family have taught me.
Yeah.
And so that's basically the point that I'm trying to make, is that again, you could be whoever and whatever you want, but I do think that it's important to just be aware of the fact that the way that you present yourself to the world, you're teaching other people how to treat you, and you're also
and people are noticing.
Yeah,
because it comes back to your mother and whomever else, you know. People have come back to me and said, "Oh my goodness, your daughter is so classy. She's so this, she's so that." But classy has been the running theme, and beautiful, and you know, it has a wonderful personality. You know, Bila, remember Bila? Different scenarios throughout her life. People come to me. So you know what a wonderful feeling it is to have people, just random strangers, not even, you know, not family members, not friends, just random people come up to you and say that about your daughter. That means it makes you know that you did something right.
Yeah.
And it's a good feeling to me.
Yeah.
So that makes me happy.
And by the way, when going along with, you know, like it doesn't have to do with finances and like that type of status as well. It also doesn't have to do with what you wear either, because I'm thinking of like, I mean, there's so many different examples that I could give, because I feel like that's going to be something that comes up too, is like when we start getting into, you know, clothes and like what you wear and how you present yourself that way. I'm not saying you have to be like covered up in a turtleneck and wearing, you know, pants and boots either.
Right.
You can present yourself that way and be classy, but I feel like you could also be classy in a cute little mini skirt. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't think that your clothes
for sure
dictate that either. It's all about how you present yourself and how you carry yourself.
Your presentation.
It's all about the
and your mannerisms.
Yes.
Yes.
Because
and how you're treating people.
Because I feel like I could wear a mini skirt and a crop top or whatever outfit,
and
or
I
have and do,
but still keep it classy,
right? Or I could be in a full, you know, covered from head to toe, and still give that.
So that is possible because you have done it.
So that brings me,
and I have too.
Yeah,
and that's the thing too. Years ago, but I did.
And that's the thing about it too, is it's duality too, because I don't want anybody to watch this and think that it's like a judgment call on that
not
either,
at all,
because it's not. And again, duality. Like I feel like being a lady and being classy doesn't necessarily look like one specific way, but again, it's just all about your presentation,
absolutely,
and how you carry yourself, and really just like your character, I think has a lot to do with it, because it's like, it's just something that that can be taught, but I think it also it's instilled in you too.
It is, and I think it's instilled, like you said. So you said it from that's all you can remember from early, so it was from the beginning, and that was just natural because that's how it was with me, right? So do you remember me telling you this? Because this is how I thought of it, and I thought I told you this, and I just remembered this, and I'm going to tell the viewers this and the listeners. Think of it this way: we are all, and this is what I told you. When you go out and do anything, you're like a walking billboard. You're marketing yourself. People are watching. People are listening. They see you. And so how are you presenting yourself? How do you want to be perceived? Think about that.
That's the question.
How do you want to be perceived? And because you don't know you don't know who saw you when you were out. You know, someone saw you and you don't know who that was. How do you want that person to perceive you? That you don't know who that person was that saw you, and then they go back and tell your mom that they saw you. And they say, "Oh my gosh, I saw Sally, in the grocery store, and she was acting a fool." Or whatever, conducting herself, not like a lady or whatever. I'm just saying, is that what you want? I'm just saying, like, how do you want, the question would be, how do you want to be perceived?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Well, how do you want your billboard to look? Because this is what we are. We're walking billboards. So that's that. And if you don't care or you don't, all this, and you don't worry about it, then okay, that's the thing.
Yeah.
But I want my billboard to look a certain way. You care about your billboard, you want it to look a certain way. So maybe if you look at it that way, that's what I would say.
That's a great point too, because I know that I've seen on social media too the discussion of like being scared to be perceived, or like I don't want to be perceived, but it's like it's one of those things where it's like you can't help that. Wherever you go out,
look at you.
Yeah, whether it's on social media or in real life, no matter where you are, you're gonna be perceived.
Yes.
Whether you want to or not. But it's up to you. You get to control the perception.
Right.
Though. So I love that you said that, because that's so true. Like, you literally get to control the perception.
You do.
Like, however you want the world to view you is up to you.
Right.
And I love that, because it's like, that's your power. Like, you pick how you want the world to look at you. I feel like that's kind of what I've been doing over the last like year or two, is like, I'm trying to do a whole rebrand of like, okay, how do I want people to perceive me? Even especially doing this, like a podcast where everybody's looking at you, listening to you, watching you. How do I want people to perceive me? Like, it's something I'm very, very aware of. And so I don't look at it as a bad thing. I feel like perception, it's one of those things where it's like, obviously it's subjective. So maybe people will perceive you the way that you want them to. Maybe they won't. But I like that idea of like, you have control over that.
You do.
Like,
you absolutely
do. Decide how you want people to perceive you.
Right.
And then don't be afraid of that. Just show up as the person that you want to be.
Right. And stand by that. I just, that's what I go by.
Amen. I like that.
Yeah.
So, getting into more of like the etiquette side of things, and kind of like, the like that learning curve. I wanted to talk about some of my experiences, because growing up, I really did have like a crash course in etiquette and perception, presentation, like all of these different things, like having poise and grace and all that. And in the last episode, we talked about how I was in a pageant, and I feel like that was a big part of kind of sharpening those skills too. But another thing that I was a part of in high school was I was in a botillion, and I also was a debutante. I had a debutante ball. And so I wanted to ask you, because for botillion, first of all, for those of you who don't even know what I'm talking about, they're like, what is that? Yeah, sorry. So if you don't know what botillion is, or like what a debutante ball is, they're basically like coming of age events. So like a botillion is basically a young man's coming of age ceremony. Think of like, if you're familiar with like what a quinceañera is, or something like that, it's similar to that. So botillion is usually when the boy is like a senior in high school. It's like a presentation to society, basically saying like, he's a young man now, he's getting ready to get into adulthood. Here's his presentation to the world. And then debutante is the same thing, but for girls. So same thing, like when I was a senior, it was like a whole, ball, like presentation, like, okay, she's a young woman, she's getting ready to go off to college and, become an adult. here we present her. I do have a TikTok from like a year or so ago where I went to a debutante ball because one of my best friends was one of the I'm forgetting the name. Sorry, girl. You were part of the process, okay?
Oh, was she a sponsor?
Not a sponsor, but I forget what it's called. Were you a sponsor? Girl, I'm sorry. I forget what the name is right now.
We forgot.
I'm sorry.
She forgot.
I'm sorry.
It's late. It's getting late.
I forgot. But she was part of the process. We love you. And so I went to the ball just to like support her and just to also see. But anyway, that's what that is. So that's what a botillion is for the boys. The deb ball or debutante is for the girls. So first of all, I wanted to ask you because I can't even really remember. How did I even become part of botillion? Because that was first. I was in the botillion first as a junior, and then my deb ball was my senior year. But I don't really remember
Auntie Beverly and those guys, and Auntie
the
Cecilia.
Links.
Yes.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yes, they wanted you to be a part of it.
Okay, so
excuse me, I keep doing that.
If she over here trying to knock my foot off,
I just messing with her toes.
I'm sorry.
She has cute toes.
Not today. Look at my feet. I need a pedicure so bad.
No, she doesn't. They're cute. But anyway.
So girl, if you, just be glad you can't see past. Anyway, so if you're familiar with like Jack and Jill, the Links, like those organizations. The funny thing is, I was never part of Jack and Jill. That's the other thing. And so many people thought that I was because I was always like adjacent. Like I knew so many people in Jack and Jill. When they say it's who you know, it's who you know. And so same thing was my grandma was very close to a lot of members in the Links. And that's kind of
really like our second family. Really.
Yeah. So that's really, it was just kind of like by association. Because like I said, I was never in Jack and Jill. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it's basically like a membership program. Again, somebody chime in that knows more information because, like I said, I wasn't even in it. But but I was like an honorary member. But it's basically like an organization for Black kids specifically. And there's just like a lot of programming, like community service and giving back, meetings. And it was just kind of like almost like a networking and membership kind of club. And so if you were in that, most likely you were going to be in botillion and deb ball. Like that was just kind of how it worked. But like I said, I wasn't in any of that, but it was just because my family, like we had family that was involved. Right. And so she was the one that told you to have me.
Yeah, she reached out to me and she was like, hey,
I remember that a little bit.
I wanted Jayla to, do the, how do you feel about it? And, and of course I talked to you about it and you were like, okay. Yeah. Yeah. And so then we got going with it. Yeah. Yeah. That was how.
So that process was, the processes are pretty similar for like botillion and deb ball. So when I was doing botillion, it's really like a long preparation process too. We were rehearsing this for months because, so first of all, you get paired up with someone. So like I said, the botillion is for the boys. So the boys are the ones where this is like their show. Yeah. The girls, we were their escorts. Not that kind of escort, but like that's what it's called. This is a whole different type of escort.
Remember, it's classy.
So we were their escorts for the night. For the presentation, okay? Right. So we learned the waltz. Then we had to learn like a contemporary style, like more like, hip hop, like our kind of generation dance.
I forgot their whole process. I remember your debutante like it happened yesterday, but I don't really remember what they actually did.
Yeah, it was the same type of thing.
Yeah, I just don't remember that actual.
We had to do a full-on waltz.
I mean, I remember you did stuff, but I don't remember like the night really.
I kind of don't either. I remember the party. I remember the after party, but I don't really remember the ball.
I remember taking pictures after and all that. I just don't remember. You know what I mean?
It happens, and it's like it almost feels like a wedding too, because it's like there's all this preparation, and then you get to the night, and it's over like that. Like, because when you say that, I do remember more of deb ball than I do botillion. Like botillion night is really fuzzy to me. Yeah, but. Like I said, we had to do a waltz. We did a contemporary dance, And then I think the boys did like their own dance by themselves or something. Mm-hmm. And then it's like there's dinner and there's like awards, and every person who's involved is individually presented. So they would like read like a little bio, you know, talk about what high school they went to, what college they're going to, all that type of stuff. And it was also just like a good way to meet other kids in other schools. That's how I was able to meet more kids from other high schools, because I probably wouldn't have met them otherwise. Right. So that was Botillion. Okay. And then Deb Ball was very similar. It was that, except the girl version. So now instead, it's all of us girls getting presented. We have male escorts, and it's the same thing. We had to do the walks. We had to do contemporary dance. And then we had our own like solo dance with just the girls. And yeah, same thing. We had
and you had
a father-daughter.
You had a father-daughter, and then the mother, that would be me, had to do a dance with the escorts.
Yeah.
That was actually fun.
That was cute. Yeah, like I still, every time I hear certain songs, it reminds me of that, because we had so much practice.
Same here.
And it was just like,
it was really pretty rigorous. We had to show up once a week for practice, and they weren't joking around.
And we literally had an etiquette workshop also.
I remember
as part of the whole process, like I said, it was like months of preparation.
Yes.
So during those months, we're doing dance rehearsals for all 3 dances. We're doing workshops. So we had like an etiquette workshop. And that is literally how I learned like table setting.
How to set the table.
Yeah. And like how, like if I go to a restaurant or I go to a banquet or something, that's how I know, how to use everything.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what taught me.
You know what's amazing? Because I have a friend who I told you, my friend that teaches that.
Yeah.
And because she started to realize she would be really good to talk to people about this, or learn about this. But she wrote a book, and she goes around and teaches this at schools and just in different settings.
Cool,
because she said she was so tired of just going out and realizing how many people don't know how to properly set the table. And
or they don't know
like,
what to what fork
or like
do I use,
when they go
what...
out, they're like using the wrong, she said it's just and not just the table setting, just a lot of things, just with etiquette period. She's like, I'm stressed out, like these people just don't.
So that's how I learned, was literally through that workshop. And then like, we would have dinners, and then obviously the night of the ball we have dinner too, and it's a whole it's a whole setting. But those 2 events they taught me a lot about like presentation and perception, and just the importance of like etiquette and manners, and also just the importance of like keeping certain traditions alive, because these events, this is nothing new. Like these Botillion and debutante balls have been around for like centuries at this point.
For a long time.
But I think it's something that is important to keep going. Like I would want my daughter to be a Deb. Like if, that opportunity arises, I would love for her to do that, because I just feel like it's something that, one, we don't really celebrate, like, we celebrate kids when they graduate and stuff, but we don't really like acknowledge their accomplishments like while they're like before they graduate, if that makes sense. Like I felt like that was a nice way to like acknowledge all of us before we like graduate and go off to college. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but it also, okay, so, people have asked me, well, what is that, and why would you do that, and, that costs a lot of money, and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, well, first of all, you are actually getting something out of this. You're learning, First, does your child know how to do does your child know how to do the waltz? Does your child... No, I'm just saying, like, does your child know how to properly set the table? A lot of things. So you're learning things.
We did learn a lot.
That you can take throughout life. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
you know, now again, this falls in line with, you know, do you want to be classy? Do you want to have etiquette? Use proper etiquette? It's you know, again, life is full of choices. It's your choice to be that way or not. You know, I want my daughter to be classy. I want, you know, her to use proper etiquette. I was raised that way. My mom was raised that way. My grandmother was raised that way. You know, her mom was, oh my goodness. You know, I heard stories and I've seen pictures. Oh my goodness. She was, I mean, the picture I saw, did you see that picture of her with the fur?
With the fur?
Stole on. And
yeah.
with it, oh my gosh.
Fly.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I could have met that lady.
Right.
I mean, if you see, well, my grandmother was, you know, like that, but her mom,
yeah.
Her name was Sarah. Sarah, girl, man. Like Diane Carroll all over again.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like she was like, darling. Like, you know,
That's what
she just, you see her picture, she was like, darling.
Yeah.
How can I help you? You know, I mean, just, I love all that.
Yeah, me too.
But no, beautiful, beautiful, classy lady.
Yeah.
But again, just, you know, I feel like it should keep going. You know, I just love, for me, I'm always looking for, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I'm always looking for, what are you getting out of it? Mm-hmm. You know, we're not just doing it for you to just be out here being showy or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's not what this is. You're getting something out of it that you can take. Just like with the pageant. We didn't put you in that just because you're going to put on a pretty dress and smile. Mm-hmm. Look, you got something out of it. That you still utilize. Mm-hmm. So that's why. Yeah. That's why we did what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the fact that you guys let me be part of both the Botillion and my Deb Ball, because Botillion was a really great experience of kind of like, you know, delving into that world a little bit, and then to be able to have like my own moment with Deb Ball, it was a big deal because it was, first of all, it was like it's senior year, so it just like was like a really important moment, like before graduation. It was like the first like, okay, this is like a big thing, this is a big night, and we literally like our dresses, because you have to wear an all white dress, we like got our dresses from like a bridal shop. Like it was that type of
you guys
situation.
are basically wearing wedding dresses.
Yeah.
So the dresses
it felt like a wedding, like minus the, you know, couple part, but it was just like it was like such a production. Yeah. And I don't know, I just felt like I feel like it's important to have things like that. And like to keep those traditions going.
I like that you were in it with some of your friends too.
Yes, that was fun. That was fun.
Sometimes you could just do it.
Some of my girls were in it, and it was really fun. And like again, just like, you know, we got to meet a bunch of different people from other schools and stuff too. And like I'm still friends with, you know, people that were in it to this day. It was just a really good experience. Like it's one of those core memories that I look back on when I think about high school, and I'm glad that I did it. I am for sure. Another thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, just when it comes to perception and presenting yourself to the world, speaking of, is the importance of your reputation, because I think that's also something that's not really like discussed a lot, and especially in the era of social media and technology and the internet that we're in, everything lives forever. And so I feel like, kind of like earlier how you were talking about, like we're kind of in a time where like people don't want to follow rules and people don't want to like you know, conform to certain things, which can be good in certain aspects, but it's also like, don't be reckless either, because like your reputation is really important, and I feel like people are kind of like forgetting that, and there's a lot of like things that go up on the internet, things that go up on social media, and it's like once it's up there, it's up there. Like you can't change that. And once your reputation is damaged, it's hard to turn that around.
This topic right here is just tough. Right,
I was like, I know you have a lot to say about this.
Lord help me.
The prayer is crazy.
I just need help right now. Okay, where do I begin? Okay, first of all, social media. Lord Jesus up above. Okay, so I don't know where to really start with this. Okay, so your reputation is, I talked about the billboard, How do you want to be perceived? What kind of reputation do you want? Same type of thing. What kind of reputation do you want? Okay, ask yourself that question. Okay, if you don't care, then do whatever. But people say, "Oh, I don't care what people think, and I don't care, and I don't care." Okay, but do you really mean that? Because one day, okay, let's say you're doing whatever, and you putting all this crazy stuff out here on the internet or whatever. Okay, now you find somebody and you have kids, and your kids see what you have on their internet. Do you care now? Because now your kid has to go to school. And, little Johnny is at school and his friends are saying, "Oh, we see your mom and we see this and we see..." Do you care? Do you care how do you care about your reputation?
And even sorry, really quick, even if you don't have kids or don't plan on having kids, my thing is everybody cares about what somebody thinks. I don't care what.
That's not true. That's not a true statement.
Like, I don't care what anybody thinks.
You're not telling the truth.
Everybody cares about
somebody.
What somebody
right.
thinks.
That's
even
not
if it's
a true
one
statement.
person.
Right.
Like
right.
You could argue. I would argue that down. Like care about what somebody
So
thinks.
here's another take. Here's another example. I was talking to somebody, and this was interesting. I was talking to somebody, and they were saying that, and this is a younger person I was talking to. They were talking about how these young girls are going on Instagram and all these different platforms and doing all these things for money, and showing things they shouldn't be showing and making all this money, and I guess the thing that's happening and has happened is, they have siblings. And, there was a girl who's doing that. And her little brother went to school. And his friends, like, he's in middle school. And she's like, let's say 18, 19. He went to school and his friends are looking at his sister.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think he's feeling like? What do you think he's going through? I mean, this is unhealthy. The little boy is probably suicidal at this point. What do you think that's doing to his mental? He's ruined, probably.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot. And now his parents have to deal with this.
Yeah.
So you're messing up your parents, you're messing up your brother, and this is out here for forever. What? Because you want to do what? Why? But you don't care. Like, so remember again, how do you want to be perceived? What kind of reputation do you want? And once it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah.
So I'm really saying to anybody, not just young people, everybody, before you do something, really think about the impact that it has. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And who does it impact? Do you care about that? Because I tell my daughter all the time, this is you've heard me say this a million times. I tell my daughter and my son, it's my job to make sure that you can be proud of me as well as I want to be proud of you. Mm-hmm. It goes both ways. I don't want my kids to ever open their laptop or go on their phone and see me, butt naked doing something stupid. Like, who wants to see their parent doing something like that's crazy? Or like open a laptop and see that 30 years ago I was posing naked or something. No child would you want that?
No,
I mean, that would freak you out, wouldn't it? You'd be like,
I can't
hello?
even imagine something like
Could
that.
Because I'm just saying, like, what? You'd be like, hello, Mom, did you want to tell me something? Like, what are you doing? I mean, I'm just saying, like, that would be crazy. Could you imagine? Or somebody saying, Jayla, I saw your mom on, what's that site? I don't know. Or just on a porn thing or something. It would just freak you out. Could you imagine?
No.
So, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We have to really stop and ask ourselves, like, do you really not care?
Right.
I mean, come on. That's all. That's what I have to say about it.
Yeah.
Like, it matters. And there's so many ways to make money. Like, do you need it that bad?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, you need it, but can you make it another way?
Well, I mean, that's a different conversation though too, because that is getting into like, that is reputation, but that's like getting into like work, what am I trying to say? Types of work, and I don't know.
That's another show.
That's a whole nother episode.
Okay, we'll get into that.
Yeah, that's another episode, because I'm like, that's something that I do want to delve into too.
Okay.
Because that's interesting.
Okay.
And okay, that's another show. That's
all right.
This
This is a new show.
Yeah, but going back to like reputation, because I get what you're saying with that, but because like reputation could also just be like, the way that you talk to people, the way that, like, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like reputation from
that,
something like that. It could be, just from just your character,
right?
Is what I'm trying to say. And that's important too. It's just, I just feel like we're in such an era of like, it's weird because it's like with social media and with the internet, we're in such an era of like, I don't care what people think. But then it's also like we're in such an era of needing validation every 2 seconds too. So it's like, well, which one is it? It doesn't go together, yeah. Right. It's like you don't care what people think, but you really do. Because you're still seeking validation. And you obviously care about your reputation somewhat.
Right.
But it's like this facade of not. So, I don't know. My whole thing is just like, your reputation means a lot. It's currency at the end of the day. That's how I kind of look at it.
That's
because when your name is brought up, or when you walk into a room, or whatever the case may be, there's something that goes along with that. And it's like, do you want that to be a good something or a bad something? And again, if you don't care, you don't care. Or if you claim you don't care, you don't care. Then that's a different conversation. But it's like, for me, I always want my reputation to be good. I don't ever want anybody to be like, oh, I met Jayla and she was a BI. You know what I mean? Like, or I met Jayla and she was this and that. Like, I would not want that. Because yes, I do care what people think. Like, I'm not afraid to admit that. I do care what people think, especially, again, having a platform and stuff like that. Like, yeah, you're going to care what people think. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think that should be everything. I don't think you should, be like keeping yourself up at night, like, oh my gosh, what does the world think of me? Like, it's not that, but it's just like, yeah, I think you should be considerate of like, the mark that you leave. You know what I'm saying?
So it's like this. Here's a phrase. It's free to be nice. Yeah. It doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
You know, and it feels better.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, we're not perfect, but you know, we all have our moments. But being nice is just, it feels better.
Yeah.
Try it. You know.
Try it.
Yeah, more people should try it. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So I just wanted to get into that because I just feel like, you know, your reputation, like I mentioned earlier, it's something that once you damage it, it's really hard to undo that. And I just feel like people should just be more aware of, like,
that's true,
how they're presenting themselves to the world, how they're treating people, how they're behaving. Because I feel like we're in a time where people, like, don't care about that as much, or they pretend they don't care about that. And I don't think that that's a good thing. I think we should still be considerate, still have manners, still, you know what I'm saying? That's my thing. That's my thing. You know, maybe it's the millennial in me, maybe it's the old soul in me, whatever, but I believe that all of that is
can we
still
bring back
important.
Manners? Like,
please. Because that's the other thing too, is like kind of getting into like our past episode about parenting styles. I feel like a lot of parents are not teaching kids manners, and I do not like that. Why don't your kids say please and thank you? I don't understand that. Like, just basic stuff like that. We need to, like, please continue that.
Well, why are your kids out of control? Was that you? Where was I at? Okay, you know, we have side stories. And we went somewhere. I don't know if that was you or where I was. My mind's running. I was somewhere and we were standing at a counter waiting we had ordered a coffee. Starbucks, and I think it might have been my friend. We ordered our coffee, and a lady came in with her young son. He was about old enough to know better. He looked like he might have been 5. And he literally came in, and he was standing next to her, and he ran like he was in a marathon through the Starbucks, like zip this way, then zip this way, and jumped onto the counter.
What do you mean?
No,
like
he leaped onto the whole
like
counter,
where the register
like
was.
where the register was, but down further. Like leaped on top of it, and the lady, the whole time this is occurring, the whole time, was standing there like this.
Doing nothing.
No, I kid you not. She was standing there like this.
No. Y'all need to get your kids.
I said,
serious.
We were like, and the other people in the place were like, is the kid,
like, are you kidding?
Wait, no, the one man said, wait, is that her kid? Because he was like, I thought that kid came with her. And he said, oh, maybe that's not her kid. We were confused. I was like,
I'm weak.
No, that's her kid.
No, that's actually
She
so
was acting
insane.
like it wasn't even her child.
That's so insane.
I was like
you.
And then the lady was like, you can't be up here. She, you know, poor girl. I'm like, she was like traumatized.
She's like, girl.
And she was like, you can't be up here. And then he jumps down, and she says, come here, Bashiri, or whatever his name was. Whatever he was. Some Indian name. Come here, Bashiri. This is just how she said it. Oh, come here, Bashiri. I was so confused. I'm like, this did not just happen.
I'm crying.
We're all sitting there like,
no.
Are you kidding?
I cannot with the children running amok.
This is what we're dealing with right now.
Nip that in the bud, please.
And that's not just one story. I have some more.
No, I have. There's several.
There's too many.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it happens too often.
It was really
y'all need to teach your kids manners. I can't deal. Like, your kids are running around.
like a wild animal.
Acting absolutely
like wild
outrageous.
Animals.
It's not okay.
This is what you guys are raising?
It's not okay.
Really?
It's
Please.
not okay.
That's not cute.
So please.
It's not cute.
And also, again, like I was saying in the beginning, basic manners like please and thank you. Don't squeeze in between people. Don't, like, all that type of stuff. No.
Yeah. Like,
no.
we're no manners. It's just like, come on.
I really can't.
You guys are raising some just really interesting creatures right now.
Creatures?
No, well, that's how they're acting. I'm sorry.
But yeah, we need to cut that. So whatever you need to do, we need to please bring back some manners, some basic etiquette. And again, I would highly recommend, if you are able to and you have access, when your child is in high school, put them in a botillion. Put her in a deb ball. You know, like, keep these traditions going.
Or if you can't afford any of that, buy them an etiquette book. Teach them how to set a table properly. If you don't know how, get a book and learn together.
And there are so many resources in this day and age with the internet that we have. Like, please. It's just like, I just want manners to be a thing again.
Yeah.
I know our society is already so known for being so rude. Like, we're like the lowest on the list of
terrible.
Like, we have the worst manners, the worst etiquette. Like, but it's like, just because that's like the generalization for our society and our
really
country
bad.
Doesn't mean that you have to keep perpetuating it. Like
when
please
are you
do
gonna
better.
change it?
Please do
Yeah.
better. So
I agree.
yeah, that's my 2 cents on that, because it's just really getting out of hand. Like,
yeah,
I just don't understand. So yeah, anything else that you'd like to add to this conversation?
No, I just
I think we covered everything.
Yeah, I think so.
And I do want to end with saying, because we named the episode Money Can't Buy You Class, and I do want to drive that point home too, because just because someone has money, or just because someone comes into money or whatever, that doesn't always equate to class and good reputation and etiquette and manners. So that's the other thing too, is that I don't want this to be a conversation of like, having to do with like finances and socioeconomic status too. That could be a part of the conversation, but it's not everything. Just because you have some money, you come into some money, that doesn't always do it either.
No.
So it's all about the internal work.
I agree.
It's all about,
the mindset.
The mentality. That's it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
This is a funny one. I feel like we covered a lot of different things.
Right.
Went on some tangents, but I hope that you enjoyed episode 9. Oh. Please, again, chime in the comments. Yes. If there's anything that you want to add, we want to hear your stories. We want to hear your 2 cents as well. Yes. Keep the conversations going.
Yes, chime in the comments, please. We like to hear your comments.
We do.
We really do.
We do.
We want to know what you think. We do. It's important to us.
Yeah.
And please tell your friends and family. We're looking to grow our family. So, because we think of you as family, we do. We
call you guys the family. It's
true.
And also, just regarding the comments too, I just want to say thank you for everyone who's watching and commenting, for keeping it
we really appreciate it.
Very respectful, and having just good conversation in the comments. I feel like it's been positive, and we get good feedback, and it's been good. I'm really appreciative of that. So be sure to tune in next Sunday for a new episode. Please subscribe, like this video if you like this video, share with a loved one, and until next time, cheers.